The IRS mailed millions of CP 2000 notices in the last fiscal year. Every single one arrived through the United States Postal Service. Plain envelope, no logo on the outside, no QR code inside. In that same period, a network of scammers sent out a different kind of letter. Same format, same font, same notice number printed at the top. But this one had a QR code at the bottom of the page, directing you to a website that looked exactly like IRS Gov. QR code phishing attacks increased fivefold in the second half of 2025, according to threat data compiled by KeepNet Labs and the Anti-Phishing Working Group. And 73% of Americans scan QR codes without verifying where the link goes, according to a 2025 CNBC analysis of consumer security behavior. One of those letters is the government asking you to review a discrepancy on your return. The other is a stranger asking for your social security number. Your bank routing number and your life, they look the same. Think about that for a second. We spent the last decade training people to spot phishing emails. We taught them to check the sender address, to hover over links, to look for typos. And the scam moved to paper, the one format nobody taught you to question. A 52-year-old middle school teacher in Tampa, 12 years in the same building, makes $63,000 a year, filed taxes on time every year since age 22. 3 weeks ago, a letter showed up in the mailbox with Department of the Treasury across the top and a notice number that matched a real IRS document type. There was a QR code at the bottom. The letter said to scan it to verify identity and resolve an underpayment. This person almost did it, almost pointed the phone at the page and tapped. The only reason they stopped was because a colleague at school mentioned a news segment about fake IRS letters that same morning. Your fingertip is on the edge of the envelope. You are standing at the kitchen counter. The paper feels real. The seal looks real. The language sounds like every government letter you have ever received. And nothing in your experience has ever told you to distrust a piece of mail from the IRS. That is evidence number one. The format changed. The defenses did not. Now, here is the scale in 2025. The Federal Trade Commission received over 1 million reports about imposter scams, with consumers reporting more than $3.5 billion in total losses to imposter fraud, according to FTC testimony before the Joint Economic Committee in March 2026. The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center logged $797.9 million in losses specifically from government impersonation scams in 2025, per the 2025 IC3 annual report. That is not some fringe category. That is a top-tier revenue stream for organized fraud. Government impersonation is not a nuisance. It is an industry. And here is the part that makes it worse. Those are only the people who reported it. The FTC has estimated that when you account for underreporting, the actual cost of fraud to American consumers in 2024 alone could be as high as $195.9 billion, based on the Commission's analysis of reporting rates. The number you see in the headlines is a floor. The real number is the building. I want to be clear, everything here is public record. I am not selling anything. I am showing you what is already out there. But the architecture of this scam is something most people have never actually looked at. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The IRS itself published a warning. It is item number 1 on their annual Dirty Dozen tax scam list for 2026. Number 1, not buried at the bottom. The agency told you scammers are sending emails, text, direct messages, and now physical documents that include QR codes that direct taxpayers to fake IRS websites. According to the IRS announcement on the 5th of March, 2026, they also reported over 600 social media accounts impersonating the IRS in fiscal year 2025 alone. 600 accounts, one agency, 1 year. That is evidence number 2. The agency that is being impersonated knows it is being impersonated. They publish the warning. The warning does not stop the scam. The scam adapts. So how does it work? Start with the letter. It arrives in your mailbox, not your inbox, your physical mailbox. It says Notice CP 2000 at the top. A real CP 2000 is what the IRS sends when the income you reported does not match what third parties reported to them. It is a legitimate document. Millions of Americans receive one every year. The real version comes through USPs. According to IRS guidance, the CP 2000 is a notice commonly mailed to taxpayers through the United States Postal Service and is never sent as part of an email. And critically, a real CP 2000 does not ask you to call a phone number immediately. It does not include a QR code. It gives you a 30-day window to respond by mail. The fake version copies the format, same notice title, same layout, but it includes a QR code that, when scanned, opens a website designed to look exactly like IRS Gov. The site asks for your social security number, your date of birth, your filing status, and your bank account information. The site may even generate a fake transcript of your tax return. Once you enter that data, it is gone. You gave it away through a door that looked like the front entrance of a government building, but was actually a hallway to nowhere. The IRS called this an emerging threat. It has been emerging for years. That is evidence number 3. The mechanism is not new. What is new is the delivery system, paper instead of pixels, a mailbox instead of an inbox. And that single change exploited the one channel Americans still trust. Since October 2013, the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration has received reports from more than 2.4 million Americans who reported receiving IRS impersonation contacts. According to TIGTA cumulative data through fiscal year 2018, over 14,700 confirmed victims collectively lost more than $72 million. And those are just the ones who called TIGTA, the ones who realized what happened, the ones who were not too embarrassed to pick up the phone and admit it. The current numbers are almost certainly higher. The teacher in Tampa did not scan the code, but someone in the next zip code did, and someone 3 states away definitely did. And none of them were stupid. None of them were careless. They opened a letter from what appeared to be the United States government and followed the instructions on the page. That is not negligence, that is compliance, and the system punished them for it. By any reasonable standard, this is exactly the kind of person the system is supposed to protect. The system is what they were protecting themselves against, and they did not know it. You put the phone down on the counter. You look at the letter again. You are not sure anymore. Now stack it against this. The total reported fraud losses in the United States in 2025 reached $15.9 billion, up from over $12 billion the year before. According to FTC congressional testimony in March 2026, the FBI's number was even higher, $20.877 billion in total cybercrime losses. Per the 2025 IC3 annual report, that is a 26% increase year over year. Fraud is not shrinking. Fraud is scaling. It added billions in a single year, and the fastest growing delivery method is the one that bypasses every digital filter you have been trained to use. It gets worse. The FTC found that among adults 60 and older, combined losses reported by those who lost more than $100,000 increased eightfold between 2020 and 2024, from $55 million to $445 million. Per FTSE data published in August 2025. Eightfold, that is not a trend, that is an acceleration curve. And the people on the worst end of it are not financially illiterate retirees who do not know what a QR code is. They are people who followed instructions, who believed the seal, who did what the letter told them to do, because that is what responsible people do. When the government sends a notice, the scam does not target stupidity, it targets trust. And trust is not a flaw. It is the thing that makes a functioning society possible. The people running this operation understand that better than the people trying to stop it. The FTC fined one payment processor $5 million for facilitating deceptive tech support schemes. That gave foreign scammers access to the US credit card system. Per FTSE enforcement records from June 2025, the scammers across all categories process billions. That is not enforcement, that is a licensing fee. Here is what a real IRS notice looks like versus a fake one. And this is the part you actually need to sit with. A real CP 2000 arrives by USP standard mail. No express delivery, no courier. It has a notice number and a tax year printed at the top. It references specific line items from your return and specific amounts from third-party information returns. It gives you 30 days to respond. It does not include a QR code. It does not include a phone number to call immediately. It does not threaten arrest. It does not demand payment by gift card, wire transfer, cryptocurrency, or any prepaid method. A fake one may arrive by mail or email. It may include a QR code. It may include a phone number with a real sounding IRS greeting on the other end. It may reference your actual name and address. It may threaten immediate legal action. It may demand payment within 24 or 48 hours. It may ask you to scan a code to verify your identity. And the website you land on may look more professional than the actual IRS website. The mailbox is a door you never lock, you check it every afternoon. You open everything that looks official. And nobody at any point in your life told you to authenticate a piece of paper the way you authenticate an email. That is the gap. That is the whole story. The scam did not get smarter in the way you think. It did not build better technology. It moved backward. It went from digital to physical, from inbox to mailbox, from the channel you learned to distrust to the channel you still believe. And now here is where the system stands. The IRS knows. They publish the Dirty Dozen list. TIGTA knows. They take the reports. The FTC knows. They testified before Congress about it. The FBI knows. They published a report showing over $20 billion in cybercrime losses. Everyone knows. The letters keep arriving. Before anyone flags this, none of this is advice. I do not know your tax bracket, your filing status, or whether the letter sitting on your kitchen counter right now is real or fake. What I know is what the data says, and the data says this. Now I am not telling you to do any of this. But here are the levers that exist right now. 1, if you receive any letter claiming to be from the IRS that includes a QR code, do not scan it. The IRS does not put QR codes in notices. That alone is a disqualifier. 2, go to IRS.gov directly, not through any link or code, and check your account. You can view your actual notices and transcripts through your IRS online account. If the notice is real, it will be there. 3, if the letter threatens arrest or demands immediate payment by gift card, wire, or crypto, it is fake. The IRS does not operate that way. They send letters, they give you time. They do not call and threaten. 4, report it. Forward suspicious emails to phishing at irs.gov. Report phone scams to TIGTA at 800-366-4484. File with the FTC at reportfraud.ftc.gov. 5, tell someone the teacher in Tampa only stopped because a colleague mentioned a news segment, one conversation. That is what stood between a scam and a loss. $15.9 billion. That is the reported number. The estimated real number is closer to $196 billion. The IRS put the scam at number 1 on their list. Number 1. And the delivery method that is growing fastest is the one you were never trained to question. You are not gullible because you almost scanned that code. You are targeted because you still believe that when the government sends you something in the mail, it is the government. That is not a weakness. That is how it is supposed to work. The fact that it no longer does is not your failure. It is a system failure with a paper trail and a QR code, and nobody's standing at the other end to stop it.